Okay, so we have reached the final video in this 9-part series, and it's time for me to talk about my company. Now, I told you my company is well positioned within the virtual reality field. We believe so much in this technology. And so what we want to do is we want to help your business in more than just this generic video. We want to get immersed with what you do, what your goals are, and how you can best benefit from the virtual reality industry. So I want to talk about the services that we provide. I want to talk about the value that we can bring to your business. And finally, how we can partner in this high potential industry of virtual reality. So let's get into the slides and cover those topics in more detail. Okay, so Reverse Tide RT Virtual Reality offers 3 types of consulting services, and the overall objective is to really help you enter and thrive in the virtual reality market. So 3 different things, and we alluded to this earlier, but we formulate what we do based on the life cycle of how you as a business should start to think about VR and how you would enter the industry. So the first thing that we do is we do a VR market assessment. So we do a couple different things. First of all, Reverse Tide helps your business understand the general VR market. And that includes speaking, a full report, and a consultation. So a couple things that we would assess relative to your business: the opportunities, the market analysis, competition, and what your competitors are doing, how you would distribute any sort of content or any sort of presence that you have there, your customers and who that would ultimately be, and then profitability. And so how would we do that? So there's a number of different ways that we can do it, but one of the ways would be to conduct workshops with company management and to really listen to you. We want to assess your VR specific opportunity for your industry as well as your business. We want to understand what your strategies are, what your goals are, and then we can retrofit what does the VR market entail? What are the opportunities that are there? And how can those 2 things be merged so that you can take advantage of those opportunities? So we would do a VR market assessment. Now, we of course want to customize it for you specifically, so there's so much flexibility in terms of how we would go about it and what we would review with you, but all kinds of different ways that we can assess your entry into the VR world. The second piece is business strategy. So this is where we go beyond just a talk, a review, a small discussion around it, a workshop around it. We want to get into the depth of your business strategy, and we want to help you accomplish that. So the first would be a custom assessment of how your business very specifically can enter VR and a timeline for how you can do that. So if you were to sell products and services, what would that look like? What sort of products would be useful for a business like you, and what would sell within the market? If you wanted to do marketing in VR, what are the different options for that? How could you reach customers? What is some of the content marketing that you could do in this space? We would give you all kinds of different ideas and the plans associated with those ideas. And then if you wanted to create content, so things like experiences, simulations, or games, what would that look like? How would that ultimately go to market? What would it entail, and what would be the plan to actually create the content and bring that to market? So we would help and give you an assessment specific to your business. We would also help develop the business case for any strategic VR investment. So obviously, we talked about profitability. It might not be there this year, it might not be there next year, but there is definitely a business case to get involved. There's future profitability to be had. There's definitely other advantages, like finding new customers, like utilizing new technology for efficiency, for example, or there might just be some marketing gains. Or in the future, maybe you use that as a sales channel. So there's definitely a business case, and we want to retrofit what that business case would be specific to your business, your capabilities, your goals, your infrastructure, and much more. Finally, we would help your business build an internal infrastructure. So if you decide you want to go beyond just the strategy phase and you want to actually start to enter the industry, maybe not to create a piece of content immediately, but you want to have the capability to do so, we would help you build a plan to do that. So things like who would you need to hire and what would be the profile of those hires? What sort of investment would you need to make, both in terms of financial commitment as well as non-financial commitments? What would it take in terms of research and development? And all the other different things that are required to have the right infrastructure to enter the market. So again, what sort of strategy can your business do? We would partner with you to help you formulate that strategy, develop it, get it approved, and have the right business case to get you started. The third thing that we offer is actual content creation itself. So we would help you creatively build content unique to your business and customers, and it would be designed with the VR audience in mind. We would also help connect you to the developers and the designers, and we would act as the intermediary to build the business and technical requirements. So as we said before, it's not just a matter of hiring somebody with specific programming experience. You need developers that are experienced in VR, and you need a good design team to make it a worthwhile experience for the VR customers. So we have a really strong network of people who are experienced in this space, who have done exciting things, and are looking for the opportunity to partner with businesses. And we would like to act as that intermediary to select the vendor, work with those vendors, and then create the requirements so that they can turn that into something really useful, some great content. And then finally, we would help with some of the implementation. So project management to deliver the project benefits from the business case, all of the technology that's required in order to build and test it, the release schedule, post-implementation support, and any upgrades that are required after you release your content. So we would help more or less with the project management of everything that it entails, going from strategy to release and all the post-release items as well. Okay, so those three things are what we offer. Now, you can choose any of those things with Reverse Tide. You can pick and choose what is most needed by your specific business. But what we advise is generally, if you're not in the VR space right now, start with the assessment. If you like what you hear from the assessment, then devote a little bit of time towards building a much more comprehensive business strategy. And then if that business strategy is a go, if your management likes it, and if that business case is something that your business is really excited about and wants to invest in, then we can go down that path of actually creating content and implementing the solution. So we would suggest starting with number 1, going to number 2, and then finally ending with service 3, assuming that that's something that's right for you. Okay, so a couple of examples of how we would help in various scenarios. So the first is with VR marketing. So the scenario here for a business, and this is just a general case study, is that a luxury condo development company wants to get involved in virtual reality. They know there's benefit, but they lack the in-house expertise to determine exactly how. So they build luxury condos around the world, and a key success factor is pre-selling those condos. It's really important to the financial well-being of that development. So they think that VR could be a really good sales tool. But they need help in what the specific strategy is, how they would go about actually designing this and then using it for that purpose. So how would we help a company like that? So Reverse Tide would be engaged to help design a comprehensive strategy, and we would think about it like this. We would think about how to create a simulation of the future condo to design. How would you do that? We would think about how to show potential customers and generate buzz and conversion strategies by using that technology. We would help with the financials of the project. How much would it cost to develop and deploy? And then, of course, the expected benefit. And we would help with an international rollout strategy for their international condo portfolio. So we would help with the strategy and the implementation plan for that. So what would the expected result be in this case? Why would they hire RT? And what would be the result of the help that we can bring to the table? So this project is designed to accomplish a few major things, and this would be the goal of the engagement. The first would be to utilize virtual reality as an innovative marketing tool. That's the goal of their project, and we would help deliver that. The second is to provide prospective customers with a lifelike demonstration of what their future condo would look like. So things like room dimensions, decoration, building amenities, just generally living in that virtual world. The third is to understand how to implement this vision. So that's what the company is looking for. They have this vision, but they don't really know how to get from point A to point B, and we would help with that. And finally, it's to build a business case so that they can go to upper management for funding to proceed with this project. So in an engagement, Reverse Tide would work with the client to do all of these different things and successfully get them into the VR market. All right, another example, this time on the strategy side. Okay, so in this example, a large multinational corporation spends millions on training cost travel every year. So each year, they bring new recruits to their headquarters and they do a week-long on-site classroom training. Now, this company is unfamiliar with virtual reality, but they've heard about it, and they want to decide if it can be utilized to reduce their training costs. The goal of this is to reduce training costs by 30%. But they lack the in-house expertise to determine, is that feasible? And if it is feasible, how would they go about doing it? So how would we help? So RT would be engaged to work with leadership on various initiatives. 3 different things. The first would be to help management understand the VR market and then how it can be used in a business context. It would then help management with the costs and the implementation associated with using VR. And we would target training because that's obviously their goal. But while they're using VR, there might be other purposes as well. And we would help them understand what those are and the different costs associated with that. Finally, we would help build a plan specific to their business of how VR can be used, why it would benefit them, and what it would take to get started. So again, it's a very detailed plan, like a project plan, to say, this is what we would intend to do, this is what it would take to get there, this is the benefit, and by the way, if you want to get started, here's what you would do. So the expected result of this partnership would be that the project is intended to help the company learn more about the VR market and then how it can help their businesses. So they want to know, can VR be used for training? They want to know if VR can be used to accomplish that 30% cost reduction goal. They want to know what type of investment is required upfront in order to build the VR infrastructure in the company. And then, of course, they would also like to know, gosh, training is one great idea, but what else can VR be used for? Could it help reduce business travel in general, not just the training costs? Can meetings be done in VR? Can the company do marketing, or can they sell a product over VR? So we would help them with that. It's really just about getting to know the market and doing that first market assessment so that they can decide, I want to proceed, or no, not for us. And that would be the expected result. All right, one more example. So in this case, they're going to do VR content and implementation. So here's the scenario. A government in a developing market wants to boost tourism to their country. They know that their country is beautiful and should be an exciting tourist destination, but the world unfortunately knows very little about it. They see the potential in VR to change this, and especially since they would be one of the first people to do this. So they want to build interesting experiences inside their country to encourage people to travel there and to experience the real thing. So how would we help a government like this? So RT would be engaged to help build these travel experiences, and they would want the following assistance. So they would want to know what content would drive interest in the VR users downloading their app. They'd want to know how they can generate PR and buzz for tourism to their country. They'd want to know what content should be included in the VR simulation. They'd want to know, should they make it a free app or should it be paid? Or maybe both for different experiences. And then they'd want to know how and where can they hire the right film team, developers, and all the other people needed to build this VR experience. So we would help them answer all of those different questions. And the expected result would be this. Their project has a very specific goal in mind. They want to build a VR experience featuring their country, and they want to encourage more tourism. So their expectation is exactly that. They want us to work directly in building exciting content and leveraging all the wonderful things that their country offers. So their people, places, scenery, and culture. They want us to hire the experts in developing and implementing this experience. So they want us to take the lead role, and they want us to help ultimately accomplish that goal of getting more tourism. And they want to measure every aspect of the success of the endeavor. They want to know how many people download the experience. They want to understand their media exposure and the metrics associated with that. And of course, their end goal, they want to measure its impact on tourism. So their expectation would be obviously that those things would be quite good, that it would accomplish those goals, but of course they want help in getting to that point. And RT would certainly be there in a position to help them accomplish exactly that goal. So RT does quite a bit. We can help your business, at the very least, understand the VR market. We can help you formulate a strategy and a business case and a plan to really realize some really cool benefits. And then we're more than happy to help in terms of implementing that, helping you find the developers, build great content, implement them, and see all of the wonderful benefits that VR has in store for us in the future, and certainly in store for your business. So certainly give us a call. We're really excited to hear from you and really excited to partner with you. Definitely want to work with you on doing something wonderful. Thank you so much.